Welcome back, welcome back. So today, as it stated in the title, I've got a story time for you all. For those of you who don't know, I am Laura Williams. This is my channel, and I've documented my journey through infertility. I've documented my rainbow baby, both the journey to get there and my pregnancy and delivery. And now I will show life as a mommy of two with my rainbow baby. For those of you who are returning, I guess you say viewers, thank you for coming back. For those of you who are new, please make sure you go check out some of my past videos. That way you can get caught up on the journey. Back to today, I've got a story time for you all. Story time was brought back to memory due to her story. Her is Nurse Dread. That's what I'm going to call her. I do not want to call her name, nor do I want to show a picture of her. So we're going to leave it at that. Just remember, she's the one that's been making headlines recently for hurting NICU babies. Yeah, her. Or due to the story, I should say, involving her. So as I said, I had struggles with infertility. Well, my infertility was secondary infertility. So yes, for those of you who do not know, I had a daughter before my rainbow baby. She was actually my first daughter. And just like my rainbow baby, she spent time in the NICU. So I remember at some point she was unable to nurse or use a bottle. She kept on having some issues with her intestines. She was having problems with passing the first poop, or meconium as it's called. So she had a feeding tube, And I remember one time being in the NICU visiting with her. And let me let you guys know, because I was a first-time mom at that particular hospital, I was able to actually stay in the NICU with my baby the whole time. Now, I didn't stay actually in the NICU, but I did have a room down the hall from the NICU. And one of the stipulations was that I had to exclusively breastfeed, which I did. So like I said, I got my room. I was able to stay. I was right down the hall so I could visit my baby day or night, anytime. I'm her mom, clearly. So one time I was visiting my baby and she had her feeding tube in. Keep in mind, it would be taken out and put back in, taken out and put back in, because her stomach would get distended. Like I said, she didn't pass her first poop. So when her stomach got too distended and they would realize, okay, she's not pooping, she's not peeing, they've got to find some way to release. They would put the feeding tube in and they would allow air to get pumped out and it would go down. So long story short, this is one of the times she had her feeding tube in. And I remember calling for the nurse, like, hey, something doesn't seem right. I don't know if my baby's choking, if she's not able to breathe, but she's just not comfortable with the breathing tube. Can you please come check on her? Maybe help her out in whatever way. And the nurse literally was so casual. Oh, she's fine. She'll be okay. Don't worry about it. Let's back it up a little bit. So I told you guys I had fertility issues with my second daughter. Well, I was told I would never conceive. Ever. Like I couldn't even carry a baby. And this is my miracle child. So she's gotten this far. She was born early. I had intrahepatic cholestasis of pregnancy, in which case, look it up. I don't want to get too far off the topic, but with intrahepatic cholestasis of pregnancy, or ICP, if she stayed in me for past, I think, like 36 weeks, she could die. So now she's here. She's under your care because she's in the NICU. And I'm telling you, I think she's uncomfortable and she may need help. and you are brushing me off like it's nothing, y'all know I went crazy. I did not show my tail because, respectfully, I was born in the 80s, and that is not how we carry ourselves outside of the home. However, to that white nurse, I rolled my eyes. I went to my fellow African American nurse, and I let her know what was going on, and she quickly came to assist. I then took it upon myself to go to the charge nurse. Look it up. The charge nurse is like the head nurse in charge. Charge nurse. I took it upon myself to go to the head nurse, and I very calmly let her know if that other nurse was seen with my baby at any time during the rest of my baby's stay in the NICU, I was going to own the hospital. We're going to sum it up because this is YouTube, and you know, there's rules and guidelines. So yeah, that was my little story. I felt like my baby was neglected. I felt irritated. I felt appalled. I felt shocked. I was mad. I was a little disturbed. So many different feelings came to my mind. And, you know, when you have a baby in a NICU, with especially a situation like mine where you're told you'll never have kids, then your pregnancy was a little rough, and I'd been going through some other things, you don't think every time, or all the time I should say, let me get the cops involved, let me get, you know, the higher ups involved. You don't always think that far ahead. So I never brought that story to light any further than going to a charge nurse. I didn't take it to authorities. I didn't even contact the head of the hospital because there was just so much going on at that time. But like I said, due to the current situation that has made headlines recently about a Caucasian nurse neglecting African American babies, we know she did more than that, but we're just going to leave it at that. I was reminded of the situation that I went through, and I wanted to share it because, number one, I'm sure I'm not the only one that has experienced something like that, or maybe even dealing with something like that currently. And number two, I know that when sharing your story, you may be able to help someone else. You may be able to make things better for someone else. And so if you recently have gone through it, or you're going through something like this now, please make sure you reach out and get help. Contact authorities, contact an authoritative figure in whatever situation you're dealing with, because it needs to be brought to light. These are babies. They are defenseless. They are helpless. They need us as their mommies, their daddies, their aunts, their uncles, their grandparents, their whoever. They need us to speak up for them. And while I feel like I did speak up for my daughter, thinking back on it now, especially in light of the current situation, I feel like maybe I should have done more. Because maybe, and I don't know clearly, my daughter's 13 years old now, but maybe that nurse had done worse, or maybe because I didn't speak up further, she may have gone on to do more. I don't know. I pray not. But again, I share this story in hopes that if you're going through something like this, or you know someone who's going through it or recently went through it, make sure you speak up on it. Make sure you take it further than just saying something to a charge nurse. Because while that did help, like I said, my baby never saw that nurse again. That nurse never saw my baby again. who's to say she didn't do that to another baby, or she hadn't done it to another baby before? So thank you for listening to my story time. I didn't want to make it too long and too drawn out, but if you're comfortable, put it in the comments. Have you or someone you know, experienced something like this? Were you able to be bold enough to be as present enough in that situation, particularly to speak up, to report it? If you did report it, what happened? I pray it was something good, but even if it was something bad, if you feel comfortable, share it in the comments. Again, sharing and speaking up helps. It can even help you yourself, because maybe, later on you might experience closure from it, and it may not be something that you ever really worry about or think about. Because like I said, I never thought about this situation until this whole ordeal in the news was brought up, and I was like, oh my goodness, I experienced something similar to that. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to like, share, answer the questions in the comment section, and subscribe to this channel. Also, you want to hit the notification bell. And as always, the journey continues.